Skip it up and that up.
Hey,
Are we live?
are we live yet? Did I press start
we live
streaming?
Yeah.
So, sup, fellow wagey, fellow brokey, fellow scared to
what's up?
check your checkings account number, or the number attached to it.
Yeah, there's this weird symbol. It's like a line in front of the number.
Yeah, and every time I pull money out, it like triples the amount for some reason. But yeah, apparently rich people have something to say about gaming price increases. I
Nice
wonder
pun there, by the way.
I wonder what shitty opinion they have for us poor wages.
Just stop being poor. That's it.
Yeah, just stop being poor. Let's see what the fat man has to say with his Bill Gates and four big men behind him.
4 big guys.
Are you ready to get pissed off at out-of-touch executives?
Yes.
Well, you're about to be. It's time. Let's do this.
Just look at it as I stretch it.
So as we know, $80 games are going to become the norm. It's just
Thanks,
unfortunate.
Nintendo.
It is what it is. We may see a couple games here and there be
Phil
$70
Spencer was
or
riding on his private jet,
$60, and of course
salivating at
indie
that.
games
Yeah.
will be cheaper. But
So was
Nintendo
Rockstar.
has set the precedent of $80 games. They're doing it with Mario Kart World. And you know there's no way other publishers and developers are going to be like, extra $20 per copy. We don't need it. Of course they're going to do it. It's capitalism at
Well,
its
some may
finest,
not,
baby.
just because it could hammer
So,
sales.
$80 is going to be the norm for games. There will be exceptions.
I feel like it depends. I mean, I feel like certain games, they might keep it at like 70, especially if they have a lot of microtransactions. Because they might know better. So, let's not charge $80 for COD and then charge, like 20 plus bucks for a single skin. But, well, for COD, they might do it anyway, let's be honest. A lot of COD
Well, yeah.
players would probably still pay the 80.
Well, here's something that is kind of nice. I know Cyberpunk 2077 is a bit older, a couple years older. Quite a while. I'm pretty sure that came out in 2020. But the fact that it's going to be launching at $70, yeah, you can get it cheaper, like if you get it on the older systems or if you get it on PC. But for like a brand new version of that Ultimate Edition at $70, because if you think about it, if you were to buy the game at $60 and that DLC, the Phantom Liberty, was also $30, so it should technically be $90, but they're bringing it down to $70, which is the new old standard of their of the pricing. I hope that companies, like, if they're going to do ports, they keep it at the 60 or 70, but only if all the DLCs included, like Cyberpunk. So because the $80 is asking too much.
Yeah, especially since a lot of AAA games aren't even worth 60. Let's be honest. I don't care how much money you spend in advertising or developing the game if it's ass.
Yeah, what'd they price the Oblivion remaster at? Like $50, and then the deluxe was 60 or something like that. Yeah, that was actually an incredible deal, and they had built like a lot of the assets from the ground up, like obviously mirroring the original game, but like it all looks. I mean, it's surprising that is technically a remaster, because the core of it, I believe, is still the same with all the bugs and the jank and all that, but it doesn't feel like the old game. It just feels like a new game, but with, gameplay intended bugs.
Yeah, because like, kind of just feels like a game that came out in like 2016. They remastered, honestly. Like, it doesn't feel as old as it should.
Well, that and man, they shouldn't have remastered that game. I kind of feel in a weird way, because it just goes to show you how far we've fallen from like the standards and what we think is a good game. Because they ported a near 20-year-old game, like came out in 2006, and Starfield, which is their latest release before this one, it was absolute trash. Just goes to show you that their quality is no longer like the same at all. They're just nobody cares anymore.
It's the difference between.
And then they want to charge you more for it for their inability to actually limit a budget on it.
It's just the difference between developing with passion versus developing with trying to please stockholders.
Yeah.
As long as they can get all that money in, no one cares anymore. And then they wonder why in a $10 indie game outsells their game by a lot.
Lethal Company, yeah. Oh yeah, you're talking about Lethal Company, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Outsold Call of Duty. That's sad.
Yeah, I can't believe that. That is really sad.
Especially because with him, the money's split between him and Steam.
Yeah,
That's it.
And I think Steam takes like 15% or 30%. It's really not that bad. So he's walking around with more money than God at this point with how much that thing sold. And a multi-billion-dollar company got their ass kicked by just one dude.
Yeah, he could finish the game with everything he's ever wanted and then just retire if he wanted.
And it's funny how it was all done without using AI. One guy made a pretty complex game for what it is. One dude with no AI, and yet Call of Duty Black Ops 6 required AI to do a lot of art and to do the voices and stuff like that. It's like they can't even cut. I don't know. It's just funny the difference in passion versus, like what you said earlier, passion versus just pleasing shareholders.
Yep, they've strayed from what actually matters. Because if you made a good game, it'd sell more.
Like, imagine if they made an Oblivion or New Vegas style quality of game, but with like modern tech, like from Bethesda. Yeah, Oblivion, the remaster is kind of like that. But I'm talking about more like on the levels of like Starfield, where it's supposed to be really big and not like, because Oblivion is a really kind of a small game if you think about it compared to like a lot of their other ones. That game would be 10 out of 10. People would be lining up to pay $80 constantly. But unfortunately, they're going to kind of push out. That's why I'm worried about Elder Scrolls 6, because I feel like it's just going to be Starfield but medieval.
Or somehow worse than Starfield.
Yeah.
And even easier than Skyrim.
Yeah. You can become the Emperor by just... Yeah, no... Yeah, I've already gone over my qualms with my problems with Skyrim versus Oblivion.
Like I said, and as I've said before and many other people have said, there's even the rumor that GTA 6 is going to be $100 because of value. It's all about value.
I already figured out how they
I'm
could
going to
fix
develop
that.
an indie game and say I think it's worth $200. How about
Yeah,
that?
you did. Just sell, what was it? Sell online and the base game separately?
Yeah, so sell the base game because there's going to be a lot of people complaining about it. So sell the base game for $70 and then have the online and, I don't know, throw in a shark card or whatever for the $30 if they want to access that. Because there's people like me that I don't care about doing the online. I want to just play the campaign and run around and just do a bunch of dumb shit. But I don't want to pay $100 for it. And I don't know, they sell Red Dead Online too, and I believe GTA Online is its own separate download now, or it can be. And I think Red Dead Online, or Red Dead 2 Online was like $20 or something. So like, what's $10 extra throwing a shark card that's like, because that's just virtual currency. It doesn't take actual time to make that. So you'd slap that on to encourage you to buy it, so that way you have a head start or whatever. That way, I feel like it would be the best of both worlds, because there are people that are going to want to immediately buy like the quote unquote $100 bundle, which includes both single player and online. That's just how they could fix it. That's the easiest way for me to think that they could. Or, you know, just make it $70 because GTA 5 made literally billions of dollars.
Yeah,
Whatever.
but it's not enough. They gotta make billions more.
Yeah. Why make 5 when you can make 5.5?
How about that? It has the value there. So if we're you know what I'm saying? If we're going by what a publisher thinks the value of a game is, guess what? Sky is the limit, and the consumer is absolutely screwed. Well, there were two executives here that were interviewed, two different interviews, okay? Well, there was two different executives that were in two different interviews here. One of them
Good
is
editing,
Shuhei
Rich.
Yoshida, and the other one was an executive that was at a
Excellent.
medieval feast and had corn on a thumb drive where he also had contracts.
Oh yeah, Randy.
Some of
Pitchford.
you probably know who I'm talking about.
you mean
But let's
Randy
start with
Pitchford?
Shuhei Yoshida
Yeah.
and leave Captain Corn
Oh,
Drive
Randy Pitchford, yeah.
for the latter. Now, Shuhei Yoshida was being interviewed by a Brazilian game publication called Critical Hits, and he was
What
asked
happened to this
about
guy?
game prices.
I feel like he was beloved.
And this is what he had to say.
Not Rich,
Initially,
the executive
it didn't
for Sony.
seem that bad,
Or ex-exec.
but then he decided, you know what? I'm going to put a turd cherry on top of the sundae because the sundae is too delicious. There might as well be fecal matter right on the top of it. This is what he had to say. When you look at life in general, other products in price have increased, way more than the game price. So I think it was almost too late for the video game companies to start looking at the pricing structure, which is not a great statement, especially if you look at the net income of Sony, and I'm going to use EA as another example. I'll show you that in a minute. But all right, not great thing to say. Games at $60 a pop are arguably pretty damn expensive. 70, even more expensive.
True.
80,
Still an
Jesus
expensive hobby,
Christ.
even at 60.
But then he says this
Yeah.
about people complaining about the price increases. It's just like, oh my God, you're so out of touch. And I quote here, as long
Maybe
as
he should be
people
buying
choose
our games
carefully
then.
how they spend their money, I don't think they should be complaining. All right, dude.
So, it's literally the boomer, stop getting your Starbucks and avocado toast. That's literally what
Yeah.
he said, basically.
Yeah, and that was really dumb of him to say. I could not imagine that went over well afterwards. Like,
That's what you say.
I mean,
when
in
you
his
have-
personal camp, I mean, obviously public reception is that he's an idiot
Yeah.
because our wages haven't increased, but yet everything around us is increasing. So everything's just getting too expensive and wages aren't increasing. That's the main point that a lot of people like us are trying to get at. And that's why we're so upset about it. Like if I made, I don't know, let's say 25 or 30% more than what I make now, I probably it would sting a lot less. I mean, I'd probably still complain because I complain about everything, but the burden of trying to keep my favorite hobby alive would be less of a stranglehold on me. And that's what he doesn't get, is that we aren't getting paid more, but yet you're demanding more. And at the same time, they're wanting to release less of products too, or less
Yeah.
products too, and then throw on $30 or $10 battle passes with $30 DLC and $200 in costume packs, and it's like, dude, this is just getting out of hand. Like we used to go to stores to buy video games. Now we're buying games to go to stores. Like everything's just flip flopped.
And with what you were saying earlier, if I remember correctly, I think if we wanted to have the same buying power as a boomer did, I think they said the minimum wage had to be like $22 an hour. That's how bad
Oh
it
my
is.
God. Yeah, and it's still at
So that's
$7.25.
Literally like more than 3 times over than what it is now.
Yeah. Well, and it just I don't know. I could go on all day about this. Boomer logic will never make sense to me because it's all about pull yourself up by your bootstraps, go to the stores, and you'll just ask for a job and they'll just give it to you. It's like, that's not how it works anymore. And you can't just walk in, work as a diner chef or a cook or whatever, and then go get a house because, yeah, you only make $20,000, but a house only costs $18,000 or something, or $25,000 to buy a new house.
Yeah, and I sent you that pic earlier where they bought the house in 1999 for like $160,000. And then if just like in, I think it was like 2021, They put it up for sale for 1.4 million. Like,
And
in what sense does
yeah.
your house go up in almost 800% value? It doesn't.
It doesn't, but that
Unless
just shows you that the housing market needs to crash, and it needs to crash soon. I'm surprised it hasn't popped already.
Well, we know the last time it crashed. What happened?
Yep.
Wonder who's going to be the next Lehman Brothers.
And then we get stuck with the bill, the taxpayers.
Yep.
I hate being an American.
While the rich just laugh at us as we protest and pour champagne upon our heads.
Okay, one of the go-tos was, and it's still expensive at $60. $60 is a high asking price for a game. You know what? I'm going to get this game. It's going to hurt my wallet a little bit, but you know what? The replay value will be absolutely insane. And especially, for example, during COVID, when we had the stay-at-home orders, it'll help me pass the time. But $20 more is a lot. $20 for someone could be groceries, even though grocery prices are going up too. Don't get me started on that. But to me, what's funny with these executives,
Him
is
talking about that,
they
like, before I just hear, like, we're just senselessly complaining and that we have no, like, reason to complain. I understand that this is a want and not a need. But when this is your only hobby and your one hobby that you do or that you invest any kind of money into goes up, that brings morale down and can make your free time that, like, amount of, like, I guess, like, stressful, because you're not allowed to actually participate in it. And it can take, because I'm going to be honest, your hobbies are important for living, because if all you do is work, sleep, and eat, I mean, that's not living in and of itself. You need something else to do, and this is what I choose to do. And it can affect the free time, because, like, let's say I can't afford Mario Kart World and I really want it. It's like I'm watching everybody else have it and play it and have fun. And let's say it takes me 2 or 3 months before I can get it. And let's say by that time, half the group only plays it. I missed out on all that, like, fun time during my free time, which can boost my mental health, make me more happy, higher morale, and maybe I put out a better performance. But so I also get what he says, because then he brings up a good point, is that groceries are going up too, which is an actual need. That's not a want. You need groceries to eat and drink. So our needs are going up and our wants are going up. And, like, one of them needs to drop down or take the hit, like, at some point.
Yeah.
Preferably the need needs to go down before the want, obviously. But, man, something's got to give in this situation. Everything's becoming way too freaking expensive, man.
It just sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
And what you said earlier just reminds me of, like, this from Gumball. Let me bring it up.
It's important to be useful. Look at me. I got it all figured out. I get up, I shower, I come to work, I work all day, I go home, I go to sleep. I get up, I shower, I come to work, I work all day, I go home, I go to sleep. I get up, I shower, I come to work.
Just about to crash out.
That realization of, oh.
I don't have any. All I do is work. I don't have any hobbies. And it breaks you. You can only go so
Yeah.
long before it just utterly destroys you mentally. Because your mental
Yeah.
state is honestly just as important as your needs.
Well, and I think that mental wellness should be taken as seriously as, like, body wellness, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, a physical doctor that examines your blood, your body, your bones, all that is just as important as a therapist. And along with that therapist, doing things that, like, kind of relieve stress, which is hobbies, video games for me, me and you specifically, and probably anybody that actually is listening.
Well, that's because
If
they're
you take-
linked.
Well, yeah, and escapism. That's basically what it is. You need to escape from this world and go into the land of, I don't know, Tamriel, Hyrule, places like that. It's fun to do, and
it's also why people don't get like getting political lectures in their games. They use it to escape,
Yeah.
not to hear more. Even if they agree with it, they probably just want some time away from it.
what, like Veilguard, you know, a medieval fantasy game with dragons and stuff, and they're talking about modern day like Western politics, and then it's like, this doesn't fit.
Yeah, it doesn't fit at all.
We just slayed a dragon. Also, I go by they. It's like, okay, I get it. You have different pronouns. That's fine. I just don't want that. Not to say that gender stuff is political, but it's just like, it's just aids that part of my brain where it's like, okay, that's a modern day discussion in a fantasy game. And then if I play a sci-fi game, it's like, well, theoretically, you shouldn't have those issues in a futuristic game because you would think that we would have already solved that problem before the future game. It never makes much sense with the settings that they throw that stuff into.
They show that they're out of touch. I'm sure Shuhei Yoshida has plenty of zeros in his bank account, and he's like, oh, just don't complain.
You
Just
may be out of touch,
buy
but
it
you
later.
can touch me, Rich.
What happens if someone, because $20 more, and they're living paycheck to paycheck, they may be working 2 jobs, may never have that extra 20. And maybe that pastime that helps them get through life and makes the crappiness of life less crappy was buying the
like what I was
occasional
saying.
game. And yes, for certain people,
You stole your
$20 may
ideas
take
again,
that
even
game
though
off
this
the
is
table.
pre-recorded.
Do you ever think of that? Maybe they'll never have time, or maybe they'll never have the funds to save up that extra money. And then you have the Switch 2 coming out, which is a $450 console. And on top of it, you
Plus
have
they
to
can't
buy
afford it,
games.
they'll
You're
probably
going to
just
have
skip
to
it for the
buy
next
some
game.
accessories for it.
Yep.
People just can't afford it. And then you're asking for $80 for Mario Kart World on top of it. Good luck trying to find the bundle with Mario Kart World included, which would have made the game cheaper. We're being priced out, man. We're being priced out of this hobby. But if you thought that the former Sony exec Shuhei Yoshida's
The game
take
crash
on
is gonna
game price
happen.
increases was bad, Randy Pitchford, the boss of
It's gonna happen
Gearbox
soon.
Software, they're coming out with Borderlands 4. His was even worse. Like, real crass. Like, tell me how out of touch you are, Randy. Tell me how much corn you have on your thumb drive now. Please, we need to know. The birds want to know. What kind of corn do you have there? How many magic tricks are on that thumb drive full of corn? The world is dying to know. Anyway, this is his completely out of touch, brain dead take on game price increases.
Him
A
and his
fan
barely
of the
legal
Borderlands
teams.
series replied to Randy on Twitter, and of course he responded because of course his ego made him have to respond. This is what they had to say. Randy, this game better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increases of the price tag. You are the CEO. You have some say
Damn,
with
which
the
kinda
price
sucks.
when it comes to your publisher.
Yeah, he's getting his ass kicked.
Randy Pitchford then went on to say this: A, not my
There we
call.
go.
B, here we go.
A,
If
not my
you're a
call,
real
B.
fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight
Well-
for the Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach, and
Okay, let me double check that again for that year.
high school working minimum
Wait, what was the year?
1991, I believe, but go ahead.
$80
I'll look that
in
up a while.
1991 when I was just out of high
Yeah,
school
1991.
working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo
Inflation.
Beach, and I'm in Brave. So
Sorry,
hey,
Cynical
just
showed
take
up. I
Randy's
searched
advice.
inflation.
Just
Oops.
work more. Who cares if you have 3 kids, outstanding bills, if you have other things to pay for and you can't afford any of this stuff? Just find a way to make it work. If you're a real fan, you
Well,
will
with
follow.
Borderlands
Okay.
track record, after like 2 months, it'll be cheap as hell.
Yeah. Especially if it's the same as 4, quality-wise.
Oh, yeah.
So, Randy, your $80 back then has the same buying power as $190 now.
That's incredible.
That is sad.
Yeah, that is sad because that also means like, so he could afford groceries, he could afford house payments, and afford all his doctors and stuff like that. And yes, $80 back in 1991 is a lot of money. And minimum wage was $4.25 an hour. But like, you could afford all the other commodities and stuff in your life. So then you had more money to actually save back each paycheck to get that $80 game. Whereas today, I'm making not as much more money than that, like by even that standard, if we were to like equate with inflation, all that. But yet everything's going up significantly. Like it takes $190 of today's money to equal 1991's buying power. Holy shit. That's incredible. That's
the
hilarious.
minimum wage
how far
at that
we've
time
fallen.
is worth more than the minimum wage now, adjusted for inflation.
How much is it?
It's a little over $10.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So the minimum wage compared with inflation back then still even was more money than now, even if minimum wage is $3 more an hour. That's so stupid. I hate
I
living
mean,
here.
that's like what, $120 more a week before tax?
So it's, yeah, and it's
It's
still
almost
less buying
$500
power.
a
Okay.
month extra before tax. That's, for some people, that's like a good savings cushion, honestly.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
it'd be the
that's if,
difference
like, they
between
have-
choosing food or choosing hunger.
You know, you got a flat tire, you need to go get that fixed. You have a tooth that breaks, you have you run out of
Washer
your
and dryer
medication, your washer and dryer die, your boots get torn up, your clothes get a rip in them, to the point where it's like you can't wear it in public. I mean, there's a lot of factors that's not even really taking in. His take on that is so stupid. I mean, these babies born with silver spoons, these trust fund fucking babies, man. Like, holy shit. Like, you ever actually have to scrape by, you know, you got $5, you're not getting paid for like a week and a half, and you have to figure out how to make that $5 turn into food for you until then. Like, you have to go
Yeah,
to a
freaking-
Kroger store, get manager special meat, manager, like, in like day old bread, and manager special cheese. And manager special, by the way, just means that it's going to be expiring in like 5 days. So they just have to get it out for like dirt cheap. So,
Or even worse,
You know.
you have to buy a bag of ice. You have to eat ice soup. Well, the
Oh,
broth
yeah.
is just water.
yeah. Or like you have to eat food just for like enough for breakfast to give you energy to go to work. And then you have to come home and for dinner is sleep. That kind of shit.
Yeah, thanks, Randy, for your insight.
Yeah, as this guy
true
gets-
fans will starve from my game.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this is the guy that also gets like $10+ million bonuses from 2K and stuff like that. I believe after like good sales reports or like whenever they meet quotas or meet demands, like this guy is set for 3-4 times the lifetime that we have. Like I have like
Wait.
what 0.1% of it, like 0.1 of his wealth probably.
Probably less.
0.001. Yeah, the inequality is hilarious.
To get that game in your hands, and you would never, ever, ever pirate the game, right?
Oops, I don't
that's
want
gonna
the
go well.
viruses.
Bad. Well, say for example that you
I know how
shop
to
at Target
avoid that.
and you have one of these little newfangled things here called a phone, and your USB-C cable broke for it.
Don't you guys have phones?
You need to have
That's
a
just all
charge
that
in your
what it
phone
reminded me
to
of is the Diablo
communicate with
Immortal
people.
shit.
It's kind of important nowadays. Well, Target basically is doubling the price of some of their products, and this is due to tariffs. You don't believe me? This comes from thesun.com. There are Target workers showing the old price and what they have to slide in for the new price. Take a look at this. There it is right there. Their brand USB-C cable.
My question with that is like, is it that they sold all their stocks, or now this is new stuff coming from China, or they're just using the tariffs as an excuse to double the price of their current stock, even though they've already had it before the tariffs? Because I do have to put company greed into it too, where they would use the tariffs as an excuse.
I feel like they have to be, because it's like, if I have 1,000 product or 1,000 of this one product that was made in China before the tariffs, you would feel like you would leave it at that price until it goes down, or you get newer stuff and then the newer stuff gets priced. But maybe I don't know what's going on in their heads with this.
It's like, looking at that box, you could definitely fit at least, I'm gonna assume with the boxes they come in, there's probably at least like 20 to 30 of those in one box that you then unpack and put on the shelf. So with those sitting in a warehouse, even if you don't have a lot of boxes, like, there's no way that brand sold that much, right? Or am I just dumb?
No, you're not.
I feel like they're just like, yeah, they're putting the tariff prices up, but they're using the tariffs as an excuse to do it early.
By the way, Target's revenue from 2005 to 2024 was $106.57 billion US dollars.
Holy crap! Wait, was that only for the U.S. branches, or is that for the whole?
Yeah, it says
worldwide?
revenue in the United States 2020 or 2005 to 2024.
Only in the U.S.
Target Corporation has revenues amounting to approximately 106.57 billion US dollars in 2024, making it one of the leading American retailers via Statista.com. And then Walmart physical year 2024 revenue was $648 billion with a B dollars.
So they could take a hit in 4 years.
All these companies can take hits. But
Especially
they're
for
wanting
just 4
to just
years.
use it as an excuse for us to take the hit. Just like these video game companies are wanting to charge us for, they're wanting to charge us for them investing more into it instead of eliminating a budget. They're just trying to make us basically be like their little investments. They're wanting us to invest in the games instead of just selling us a product.
This is outrageous.
That is outrageous. So you're making us have to pay for mistakes that we're not making, and yet you're bringing in this amount of revenue and money. I understand you employ a lot of people, but holy crap. So you're basically wanting us to, never mind. I could rant about this for the next 12 hours.
Yeah, this would be like a 10-hour long video, and we'd be paused at this point.
Oh yeah. Nice thumbnail. Nice thumb, by the way.
It's a wide thumb.
Essentially doubling in
They have
price. It's
anxiety,
going
though,
from
you can tell that they peel their
$10 to
skin.
$18, just shy of being doubled. You're spending double the money on something simple that you may need, like a USB-C cable. This also is a warning from Walmart's CFO, John Rainey, about the tariffs and how it's going to affect prices at those mega stores. We're wired for everyday low prices, but the magnitude of these increases is more than any retailer can absorb. It's more than any supplier can
any
absorb.
smaller
and so I'm
retailer can
concerned that the
absorb.
consumer is going to start seeing higher prices. You'll begin to see that likely towards the tail end of this month, and then certainly much more in June. And he added that this is unprecedented in terms of how fast and how much the prices are going.
And of course, it was from
increase.
dogs.
Yeah.
We're talking not just electronics. We're talking also on top of it basic goods too that are going to
Food,
become more
eggs,
expensive.
bacon,
Now some of
chicken,
you may be saying, Rich,
eggs,
EA just
eggs,
had
eggs,
some
eggs.
layoffs and maybe Sony's hurting right now, but maybe that's why they have
I mean,
to
for the
increase
most part, at least for
prices
produce,
of their games.
most of the stuff comes
really?
from
Oh really?
countries that aren't getting
EA's
tariffed that much.
net income right
Yeah.
now for what we've been through in 2025 so far might be down, but here, take a look at these numbers. Take a look at what their net income was in 2024. Electronic Arts net income for 2024 was 1.273 billion, a 58.73 increase from 2023. And they're right now, yes,
Holy
okay, Electronic
shit.
Arts
That's a
net income for
huge increase.
2025 so far.
That is
over
massive.
May is 1.21 billion, and for the same time last year,
Well, next
if you're
year might
looking
not
at
be the
numbers
same,
that way,
since they
it's
got
an
rid of the FIFA licensing
11.94%
for
decline
some dumb
from
reason.
2024, but they're still making bank. Like, they're still making money. But what about Sony? How's Sony doing? For the fiscal year 2024, which ended on March 31st, 2025, Sony's net income attributable to Sony Group Corporation stockholders was 7.8 billion US dollars, based on the exchange rate at the time the results were announced. Key
That is
points
a
about
lot of money.
Sony's fiscal year 2024 net income. Here we go. Record profit. Sony reported record net income for fiscal year 2024, increase from previous year. This represented a 17.6 increase in net income compared to the previous fiscal year. Factors contributing to profit growth. The company attributed
Let's
the
hear that.
strong performance to robust sales in gaming software, as well as a
Robust.
weaker yen,
games?
which boosted the value
What
of
games
overseas
does this
earnings
Concord?
when converted back to Japanese yen.
Oh,
Now,
wait.
Sony is forecasting a 13% decrease compared to the previous year, and this is largely due to the tariffs.
But you
overall,
increased from
Sony is still
17% from the
raking in
previous
a
year,
ton
so
of
technically your
cash and
4%
get my
still above
point.
that.
I don't really
that year
even
before.
know what
Yeah.
to say at this point.
It's not even-
Between the price increases of Microsoft consoles, which is insane, soon to be
Yeah.
5-year-old consoles, the prices aren't going down, they're going up. There are hints that Nintendo may increase the price of the Switch too. There is also very educated
getting ours
guesses from
early.
industry insiders that the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro are going to go up in price. And on top of it too, even if you own the consoles already, the software is getting more expensive. We're being priced out of our hobby. And they could say whatever they want to about, game prices, the price increases lagged behind other goods, but it's still an expensive hobby, even if the prices did lag behind other goods. And it's entertainment. It's that simple. The people are going to use their money for things they need to survive,
It
or
sounded like you
even
said entertainment.
necessary electronics or necessary accessories like a USB-C
Hulk
cable.
Hogan's taint.
If they're like, hey, I need
Yeah,
to keep my lights
I
on,
need
or
to-
buying the newest
I need a new
Nintendo
cable for my
IP,
controller.
they're going to choose to keep their lights on. And if they
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
afford your games
With their limited
anymore,
money.
they're not going to buy them. Oh, it's still a great value, but yeah, if someone's they're thinking my bank account is still at zero. It doesn't matter
Or
how
negative.
good the value is. You can
Yeah.
make the game $50 or $80.
I've been there.
Zero on my bank account is zero. And turning around and essentially saying, don't be broke, isn't a good business strategy. It just makes people
No,
more
not
angry.
not at all. You'll
Just get a
find a
third
way.
job,
It's
Shut
going
up,
to be
Ed.
interesting to see where gaming goes
Yeah.
in the next couple years.
Just
But right now,
get-
things
work
are not
80
looking
hours a week
good.
then.
And increasing prices where people can't afford your products even more so than they
Or
already
you would
can't
literally
afford
have to
them
sleep in your
already.
car in between
It's
jobs.
not going to bring people to the stores. They're going to choose to pay their mortgage, rent, or electric bill over buying a game console and expensive games for it. That's
needs
just
are
the
more important than
reality of
wants.
it. Hey, if you watched the whole video, what the hell are you doing? You're not subbed yet? Click that sub button.
I think we're already subbed. That's fine.
Joke's
Richard.
on you, I'm so.
And you're a member too, because you have the C perks button.
Don't call me out.
You didn't like the video.
If I don't like the video,
real quick.
they were
Video,
like to
perfect.
calm down.
I know. I just want to make sure he's not hitting us with anything.